Hello, friends. Happy March the 20th, the first day of spring. I'm excited about that. I don't know about you, but it doesn't feel like spring here right now because I think last night was like 20 something degrees, but I'm still excited about spring. And I wanted to tell you my book, God's Grace Keeps Pace, is on sale on Amazon for $16 and a few cents. And then the Kindle is like 10 something. But I don't know if all of you know the history of me writing this book, but I had not planned to write a second book. I had no plans at all, but God had a plan. And it came about with John's daughter, Angie, coming over one day. And I have a big old ottoman, and she had all of these notebooks and information spread out, and she was working on a newsletter. And I told her then, I said, that's not a newsletter, that's a book. You have the right makings of a book. And my dear friend Sue had been trying to get me to join this writing class hosted by Nika Maples, who's a wonderful Christian lady. And I said, let's check with Sue and see if she thinks what you've got there, that if this class would help, and if it would, we'll take it together. We can take it together. So I checked with Sue, and she said, oh, yes, that would help. And so we joined this writing class. Now, I'm not writing a book. I'm going to get Angie to write a book. Well, lo and behold, simultaneous with this, my church asked me to give my testimony. Now, I used to speak for Christian Women's Club, and I was in my 40s when I did, and I spoke for them in about 120 places across the state and Arkansas and some other states. And I spoke as a caregiver to Jan, and that no situation is hopeless. But in the process of when I was giving my testimony, my sister died, then my husband died, and then Jan died. And my testimony became so heavy, I just could not do it. In fact, one day I was giving my testimony. It was in Lawton, Oklahoma. And in the middle of it, one of the ladies that was seated listening just started boo-hooing out loud and got up and left because it was too heavy for her. And that impacted me so that the weight of it, I just couldn't share it anymore. And I stopped not long after that from giving my testimony. But I'd given it till I was in my 50s, my mid 50s, from my 40s on to my mid 50s. Well, anyway, I had not planned to write a book, but when I gave my testimony, I told the Lord before I went, this is so hard for me to do, Lord. Would you show me an easier way to do this? And I really felt He said, just share the places where you saw my grace pull you through. And do you know what? I could do that very easily because it's a testimony of God pulling me through the years of being a caregiver to my multiple handicapped daughter. Then it walks through thinking I can't give up my husband of 37 years and fighting, or 33 years, and fighting that battle to today where I am. And I was able to give my testimony, and then I was in this writing class, and I began to write from that position of all the places I saw God's grace, and I saw the joy of what He did in the midst of the really hard places I was going through. And that's how God's Grace Keeps Pace was born. And so my desire for many years has been to reach people that are hurting, because I've been there. I remember the long, lonely nights when my daughter was up and suffering and the heartbreak of it. I remember when the diagnosis came of cancer for my husband, and the heartbreak of that, and the realization that he was not going to survive it. But God was faithful. each and every time. He brought me through and he taught me. And so that's where the book came from. And my desire is to say to anyone who's going through a hard time, and let's face it, lots of us are going through hard times, is to say, God is faithful. His word is true. He will be your strong tower. He will be your refuge. Even when the child dies, even when the husband dies, he will bring you through, because this life ain't it. So I'm going to ask you a favor. If you know someone who's walking in a really hard place, I believe God had me write this book for them. It's on sale today on Amazon, and I still have about 30 copies that I'm happy to sign and send. The books aren't free to me, and I have given away a lot, so I can message you on if you're interested. But I believe there's God's message is here, and it's here to help people that are hurting. So if you know someone that's hurting, and even if you've read the book and it's blessed you, please help me get this message of hope to people that need it. That's my heart's desire. And so I would ask for your help. And if you know of someone that needs it and I can send it, I would do that. So God's grace does keep pace. And I can tell you, it's hard for me to make these videos because I don't like to plug my book. But as I was talking to friends today, they said, do you believe God gave it to you or not? And I do believe God gave me this message. And so by faith, I'm stepping out and saying, please help someone today. And the book is read on God's Grace Keeps Pace. And if you want to be invited or invite someone to the Facebook page, God's Grace Keeps Pace, they can listen to it for free. So I am saying God's grace does keep pace. It doesn't matter what you face. He is the true God. He is the way, the truth, and the light. And he will help you get through anything. He will help any child of God that reaches out to him. He will help them navigate and go through on dry ground. So I just give you my love. Thank you for listening. Bye.